A very warm welcome to StudyIQ, my dear friends. I am Prashant Mavani. I hope you all are doing good. Today is 7th December 2020. Day is Monday, and I'm sure you all have enjoyed your weekend. I would like to start today's discussion with a very important quote by Thomas Carlyle. Our main business is not to see what lies dimly at a distance, but to do what lies clearly at hand. See, when it comes to future, planning for your future is not bad at all. But when you are worried too much about your future, it is destroying your energy and you are destroying your future because you are not able to give your best in the present moment. If you don't handle your today, how your tomorrow will be better. So the main thing that we all need to learn, we all need to train ourselves is for this thing that we should stop worrying about future. See, again, I would like to tell you, planning is not bad, but worrying about future is definitely bad for your health and for your everything. So let's not worry about our future and let's give our best to what we have in our hand today. One step at a time. With this, dear friends, if you are preparing for UPSC Prelims 2021, then we have launched a test series. You will get 40 tests in it. 50% discount is also available at present. Till 14th December, this offer is going on. To find out more about this test series, visit testiq.in. I have already shared the PDF of today's lecture on my Telegram channel. Please get it from there. Please make sure that you share this lecture with other students. Hit the like button if you have learned something from today's discussion. And don't forget to subscribe to our YouTube channel. Dear friends, I would like to start today's discussion with one of the most important article of the day that we have in this particular lecture. And this one is from Times of India. India is India is looking west. This article is written by Dharmendra Pradhan. Now, I would like to tell you one thing, that if you are preparing for various different competitive exams, then always remember, if you find any article that is written by any Prime Minister or any President, I'm not just talking about Indian Prime Minister. Let's say if you find one article that is written by Prime Minister of UK, then make sure you go through that article. If you find any article that is written by any minister, right, maybe union minister or a state minister, right, then make sure you go through that article. It will not take more than 5-10 minutes, but you will find so many important things. Because the reason is that whenever an article is written by an ambassador or an official or a prime minister, president, minister or state minister, then you can take it as an official statement. See, I'm not talking about articles written by politicians. I'm talking about ministers and diplomats, right? Presidents and prime ministers. So, this is how you prepare for your examination. Now, this article is about looking west. I'm sure you have heard about look east policy. We used to have this look east, and then look east was upgraded to act east, isn't it? Just looking is not enough. You need to act east. That means work more closely with eastern countries. So it's about ASEAN nations. It's about South Korea, Japan, Mongolia, etc. Apart from China, you can say look east, and after that act east has delivered. This one is about looking west. When I say looking west, or when Dharmendra Pradhan is saying looking west, then we are talking about this region. We are talking about West Asia. If you go through BBC, CNBC and other international news channels, then they refer to this region as Middle East. But from India's point of view, officially it is called West Asia. Different words, same meaning. So here we are talking about Saudi Arabia, Yemen, Oman, UAE, Iran, Kuwait, Bahrain, Qatar, Iraq, Jordan, Israel, Palestine, Syria, Lebanon, all these nations, right? Syria and everything. All these nations are part of this West Asia. But here, our today's discussion, we are going to be focusing more on Saudi Arabia and UAE. And of course, we have bits and pieces about Bahrain and Qatar and other countries, Kuwait as well. I have one question for you. Can you tell me how many nations are there? And I don't want a number. I want names of all these nations who are part of Gulf Cooperation Council, GCC. Now, dear friends, when back in 2017, when Crown Prince of UAE, Mohammed bin Zayed Al Nahyan, visited our country, Narendra Modi broke protocol to receive him with a warm hug. 2 years later, in 2019, when Mohammed bin Salman, Saudi Arabia's Crown Prince, was here, we did the same thing. When it comes to these two countries, or I'm going to say these two parties, when I say parties, I'm talking about one party is India and the other party is this Gulf countries, right? So it becomes a bit easier for me to tell you. So when it comes to these two parties, right, we have camaraderie, mutual respect, and high degree of trust, which is the most important thing when it comes to any relationship, isn't it? Trust is the base. Trust is that fuel. Without trust, you cannot operate. So trust, camaraderie, as well as mutual respect. These are the three important pillars when it comes to relationship between these two parties. As far as Saudi Arabia is concerned, you know it very well, the importance of Mecca and Medina for Muslims around the world. In our country, we have crores of Muslim brothers and sisters living in our country, and every year, you know, it is like an aspiration, I believe, of every Muslim to once in his or her lifetime to visit Mecca and Medina. And every year we see lakhs of, because of COVID-19, this was not possible, but generally speaking, every year we find lakhs of Muslims from our country, they visit Mecca and Medina. So from religious point of view, Saudi Arabia is very important for India. Then if you go through our mythologies, our languages, in Hindi language we use some common words like mushkil, then we have class, right, dunya, and there are so many other words as well that you find they are common with Arabic language. Food, right, whenever I say Middle East, when it comes to food, one thing that pops up in my mind is dates. And architecture and so many other things are common. But unfortunately, we have not explored. We have not, we have not optimally utilized all these things. But things are going on in right direction at present, we can say. Now, under Modi's vision, the leadership has made assiduous efforts to fortify relationship with countries in the Gulf region through its Look West policy. We have upgraded our bilateral relationship to strategic partnership. Bilateral relationship is more about trade, investment, and it's not bad at all. But the higher version is a strategic partnership. So without any formal alliance as well, two strategic partners, they will talk about they will have strategic dialogues, right? They will talk about diverse issues and diverse things that are going on around the world and how it can affect them and what's their stand and things about that. Then it comes to trade. Now, when it comes to trade, dear friends, we buy so many things, we sell so many things to this region. But one more thing that we have that is like a bridge, and that is people, right? People of our country. There are nearly 70-80 lakh people of our country that are working in this part of the world. New Delhi and Riyadh have established the Strategic Partnership Council at the level of our PM and Saudi Crown Prince. The UAE also significantly elevated the strategic relationship with high-level ministerial groups driving the relationship. And what we find common here is the personal touch of the top leadership. The UAE is our third largest trading partner, and Saudi Arabia is our fourth largest trading partner. UAE has said that it will invest $100 billion in India in the areas of energy, refining, petrochemicals, infrastructure, agriculture, minerals, and mining. Dear friends, I have one more question for you. This is your second question. A few weeks ago, this city of Saudi Arabia was in news. It is said that Saudi Arabia is going to invest $500 billion in creating altogether a very high-tech city in Saudi Arabia. What is the name of this city? Stick your answer in the comment section. Meanwhile, the UAE features in the top 10 sources of foreign direct investment inflows into our country. When it comes to remittance, 8.5 million Indians are living in this part of the world, and we get, roughly speaking, $50 billion in remittance. This is more than FDI that we receive from various different parts of the world. The host countries reap the benefit of having a skilled working populace at their disposal. And it's not just about, there was a time when we were not treated properly, I would say. This is a reality, right? People of this part of the world, they were not treating us properly. But now, they do understand our role in, our important role in their economy, in their technology, in their hospitals, in their schools, and so many other things, and as society as well. And this is one of the reasons, this is a signature, this is a sort of starting point that UAE has allowed construction of Hindu temple. Consequently, there has been a significant shift in the approach of GCC countries to the sensitivities of Indian diaspora, be they cultural or their social engagements. The backbone of trade and investments is hydrocarbon sector. In 2019-20, India's hydrocarbon trade with the region was worth $62 billion, which is 36% of the hydrocarbon trade. Saudi Arabia and UAE may partner us in the next phase of Strategic Petroleum Reserves Program in India. The importance of SPR, Strategic Petroleum Reserves, is that, see, first of all, you will reserve your fuel, this commodity, only in a country in which you have a pure trust. This item is billions and billions worth of oil will be stored here. Then it becomes easy as well. You can transport it to various different parts of the world from this country. So it is again based on trust, and this is good for trade as well. Also, in a historic agreement during Modi's visit to the UAE, a consortium of Indian oil companies were awarded a 10% interest in Abu Dhabi's offshore Lower Zakum concession. Relationship was upgraded by Prime Minister Modi's visit in UAE. For the first time in 30 years, back in 2015, PM of India visited UAE, and after that he has visited in 2018, 2019, and in our country as well. We find so many, highest level visits from various different parts. We'll talk about it. Then that highest awards or orders were given, highest, just like our Bharat Ratna, Saudi Arabia gave highest award, and then UAE gave highest award to our Prime Minister. So it's not just about Prime Minister. When they are giving this award, they are not just giving to our Prime Minister. They are giving to India this award, And we saw high-profile visits from Saudi, Qatar, Oman, Iran, Bahrain, and so many other countries from this part of the world. So in COVID-19 time, we helped them. We provided them food and everything. When the Emir of Kuwait passed away, we declared a day's state mourning, and this touched the heart of the people as well as the government of Kuwait. We provided medicines, food, and other essential items to Gulf region, and they also make sure that we were provided with enough LPG when our Prime Minister declared that government is going to provide 3 refills to BPL families free of cost during this pandemic time. The Gulf region is also a reliable partner for energy security, and we are the reliable partner for food security. So I'm sure you learned so many things about this two parties, India and this Gulf region. And dear friends, what I want you guys to do is, this is your homework, and I strongly believe that you should do it, right? If you take it as an order, then this is an order. I want you guys to spend a few minutes, maybe 5 minutes or maybe 10 minutes, depends on your energy and your curiosity. But I would spend, if I were you, then I would spend 10 minutes after this map here. And I would also use a sort of magnifying glass, to go through all these tiny things like, okay, Persian Gulf is here. What is this? Strait of Hormuz, and then you find Bab al Mandeb and other cities and so many things. I would literally scan this whole region. I would spend 10 minutes. After that, I want you guys to open Times of India or download this article or Google it, whatever. India is looking west. You will find this article in Times of India. I want you guys to read this article at least 3 times. How many times? 3 times. For the first time you will read, it will take 10 minutes. For the second time, 5 minutes. And the third time, 3 minutes. So if you calculate, you will finish this article 3 times in 18 minutes. So 18 minutes plus 10 minutes. So roughly speaking, 30 minutes. Not at all bad investment. This will help you a lot with this particular topic. Moving on to next topic, we have many important articles to cover. So let's quickly start on the next one. Legalise Marijuana. This one is from Times of India. So India has voted in favor of a move by UN Commission on Narcotic Drugs to remove cannabis from Schedule 4 of the 1961 Convention, where it was listed alongside drugs like heroin. So heroin and this cannabis or marijuana was considered equal. They were equal damage or equally danger drugs, right? That's what it used to be. It has always been since 1961 Convention. But then UN Commission decided that this UN Commission on Narcotic Drugs have decided that marijuana is not that dangerous. We cannot. It's not that dangerous. We need to remove it from this strictest drug control list. So India has voted in favor of this decision of UN Commission on Narcotic Drugs. This means India supports reclassification of marijuana to drop it from the strictest drug control list. Now, when it comes to international level, we are saying that marijuana is less dangerous drug. But when it comes to our domestic scenario, government agencies are, you can say, harassing. They are coming down heavily. They are whatever word you want to use, you can use it. The reason is it's not like if government agencies are investigating some Bollywood players, right? Bollywood film stars and famous faces, then of course they are doing their duty, right? They are doing their duty, and but the paradox here is, the reason why I'm not happy with this investigation of Bollywood film stars is that at international level, if the government is saying that this is not that dangerous, and in your home you are chasing these people, you have to understand that Bollywood has contributed the most to India's soft power. There are so many people around the world, right? They know our country and they learn about our culture from our films. But that does not mean that if you break a law, then they should let you go. I'm not saying that. What I'm saying is that here we find this paradox in the behavior and the action of our government. At international level, you are doing something else. At national level, you are saying something else. The other thing is, we all believe that if I do something wrong, then I should be punished. In the same way, if the president or if any other person does something wrong, then he or she should be punished. Doesn't it? We agree on this thing, right? But when it comes to our sadhus and this shias and sadhus, right? Ascetics. When it comes to these people, tell me how many of you know this thing, right? We find so many temples. I'm not talking about big temples. We don't find this thing in big temples. You find in small temples, right? Small temples in remote areas, in hill region, or maybe in plains. But they are in like remote places, in deep jungles and places. When you visit these villages, you will find that not these temples. You find not all. I'm not talking about all of them, but there are a few temples, and I have seen I can say 10, 15 temples, right? They, in their garden, you will find they grow this cannabis of marijuana. It's for the consumption of the sadhu. And the police as well, they are aware about it. You find so many big collectors and, judges and other people, they visit this place and they know this thing, that the sadhu consumes this thing, but they say nothing about it. But when you find some famous place, then the same people are involved in investigation in this case. So this is also not acceptable. Now, as far as our tradition is concerned, the marijuana use has long been part of our Indian tradition. It was only under American pressure that Indian government banned all the narcotic substances, including marijuana, in the 1980s. India too must reverse course and decriminalize marijuana. And this article is saying that a BJP government ought to be more inclined towards upholding what's been for long an Indian tradition anyway. Moving on to next item, costly neglect. Times of India article, very important article. Now, dear friends, when this whole COVID-19 thing started, I thought that once everything will be under control, after that people will demand that we should have proper government hospitals, good facility hospitals, good clinics in every society. When I say every, I'm not talking about every street. I'm talking about if you have one area, then you should have, if there are like 50,000 people living in one area in a city, then at least you need to have one or two big hospitals and one or two or maybe 5-10 clinics, something like that. We cannot afford to leave this health in the hands of private sector anymore. This is the biggest lesson for our country. We have spent just a little bit. We are not doing enough when it comes to health sector. We are spending just 1.3% of our GDP. This is not at all enough when it comes to the population of our country. And few months of economic disruption was enough to set back India's $5 trillion economy dream by some years. More pandemics are just around the corner because climate change is taking place. I think we need to have in every district, right? In every single village. If your village is a bit small, then make a cluster of 5 villages, right? Between every 5 village, you need to have one clinic, a sort of multi-speciality clinic. You need to have at least 2 ambulances in between these 5 villages, right? When it comes to your city, then as I told you, right, if you have 10,000, 15,000 people living, then we can do all this statistics and maths and everything. And then based on that thing, we can create super specialty clinics. And then you need to have super specialty hospitals. Every district should have isolation wards. That in future, if we find this sort of pandemic, then how we can transport these people from one place to this pandemic ward. And over there you need to have telephone facility. Every individual, if you are bringing one patient, then you need to create all this telecommunication so they can communicate with their family members and everyone. They can communicate with the world and tell like what are the facilities they are getting and things like that. So this is the time to plan for the future. It's like we have nuclear weapons. We have nuclear weapons not to launch it on someone else. This is just as a reserve. This gives us confidence, isn't it? In the same way, if every district of our country will have this sort of hospitals and every area will have this clinics and hospitals, then this will give confidence. And we need to have more parks. We need to make sure that people don't spit here and there. We need to have proper dustbin. We need to focus on recycling our garbage. Swachh Bharat Abhiyan is going on, but still I don't see that thing in our country because we don't have that many dustbins. We don't maintain things. You just put a dustbin, but it is not maintained. This will not create. We need to nudge people to follow good practices. So we need a sort of holistic approach. We need to set up more medical college hospitals in backward districts, and this will address this issue of lack of doctors and nurses. And we need to create more field workers. For that, you need training institutions. Overall, you need investment. I would say we need 5%. We need to, I won't use the word spend, I would say investment of 5% of our GDP in health. So many people will say 5% is too much. You are talking like this is not realistic. But if we spend 5%, just imagine how much human hours we will save. And human capital, we will upgrade our human capital. Something that we can learn from Japan, Costa Rica and other nations. So we can learn from East Asian countries as well without lockdown. Just by following mask wearing rules and testing and tracing and other well-drilled public health responses, they have controlled COVID-19. Last one, culture and peace. Now, UN Alliance of Civilization, UNAOC. You have this dedicated body under the umbrella of UN, and the main purpose, I'll take you through the main purpose as well. Now, what UNAOC said that, the UNAOC said that we need to protect Abrahamic religions, people of Abrahamic religions. So Islam, Christianity and Judaism, they are all part of Abrahamic religions. Now, India is not happy with this thing. India said that means India is not against this Islam, Christianity or Judaism. What India said is that, see, there are attacks on Hindus, Sikhs and Buddhists in various different parts of the world. So many shrines in Afghanistan and Pakistan have been destroyed by various different groups. And UNAOC is not saying anything about these people. India said the UNGA statement welcomed Kartarpur Gurudwara corridor agreement between India and Pakistan, but failed to note the Pakistan's government. Pakistan's government has taken over the management of Sikh shrine. So when it comes to when Kartarpur corridor was, when this agreement took place, UN accepted it. But when Pakistan is doing something bad things, then UN is saying nothing about it. India's delegate also accused Pakistan of the culture of hatred against religions in India and fostering cross-border terrorism and things like that. Now, UNAOC was set up in 2005 to prevent polarization between societies and cultures. So the main purpose of UNAOC is to bridge or to cement cracks and to make sure that there are bridges between these nations, And India's concerns over the UN resolution that portray only 3 religions as victims of religion hatred are completely valid, and it is important that they are broadened to include every community that faces religion-based violence. So here India is not wrong, but one thing that India need to work on is that, see, recently we have seen this various different states coming out with this rules and regulations or laws or bills about interfaith marriages. This is not good for our country because many of us will disagree with, many of us are not happy with interfaith marriages for whatever reason. But one thing is that we have rules and regulations in our country, we have our constitution, right? And adults can decide, right? It doesn't matter if we are coming from X or Y religion. If there are 2 adults, right, if they are legally capable of marrying or marriage, then the government should not interfere. And that's everything in today's discussion. So you find one more news item pertaining to anti-conversion law, and then you have some other news items as well. So download the PDF. It's available on my Telegram channel. And if you are preparing for UPSC exams, then dear friends, we have a smart course as well. All information available on our mobile app. I will see you with daily financial news analysis. Enjoy your studies. God bless you all. Jai Hind.